What is going on, New York Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video on this lovely Saturday afternoon. It is a beautiful day, so I want to get back outside, but I wanted to come on and talk to you guys briefly about why I think Breece Hall is due to have a mega game against the New York Giants on Sunday. So much so, I am so confident in this that I am using him in my Underdog fantasy lineup this week. This video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure to sign up using my promo code. Link is in the description of the video and the pinned comment, and they are doing a match deposit bonus, 100% match deposit bonus up to $500. So that means input 500 using my code, and they will give you 500 if you use my code to sign up to $500. Okay, here are my three plays this week. Number one is Breece Hall higher than 60.5 rushing yards. I think the Jets will lean on Breece Hall in this game. The New York Giants defense struggles against the run, and I think he has a big day. As for Zach Wilson, I like his rushing yardage over as well. He didn't hit it this past time out against the Philadelphia Eagles, but I think he tucks one and runs for a big gain in this one. I think he's sitting somewhere around 30 rushing yards in this game. I think he uses his legs a little bit more. And then finally, you have Patrick Mahomes. He is taking on the Denver Broncos. I have higher on 271.5 passing yards. He's cleared that each of the last 3 weeks. And the first time these two teams played this year, he went for 306 yards. As we know, the Denver Broncos do not have a very good defense. I think Patrick Mahomes goes over this number. So let's see what a $10 play could yield up to $60. So 3 correct pays up to $60. It's that simple. Make sure to get in on the fun over at Underdog Fantasy with my code linked down below. Now, Matt, why would you be so confident? How could you possibly be so confident about anything the Jets do on offense? Fair. The Jets offense has struggled, but all signs point to Breece Hall having a big game, not only just because of Breece, and we'll get to Breece's numbers in a little bit, but just on how the New York Giants' run defense has operated so far this year. Now, it is no secret the New York Giants defense has gotten better, specifically the last 2 weeks. Early on in the season, missed tackles were a major problem, but they've started to dial up the blitz a little bit. They're getting after the quarterback, and they're creating sacks and turnovers. They're just have played a little bit better the last 2 weeks. They held Buffalo to 14, and they held the Washington Commanders to 7 points. How did they do that? Okay, well, a couple of things. Number one, even still in that game against Buffalo, there was a ton of mistakes, and Josh Allen didn't play a great game, but they ran the ball relatively well, they being the Buffalo Bills. They ran it 29 times for 128 yards, which is still 4.4 yards per carry. That's a solid yards per carry attempt, and that is 29 carries in a game. That's a lot. That's, good. And I think that, if you're going to attack this Giants defense, that's the way to do it. This past week, Washington, I don't know why, because it was a tight game essentially the entire way. They just continued to drop Sam Howell back time and time again, which is so weird to me, because I think that's a horrific game plan from the Commanders when you consider that Sam Howell, while, yes, he has made some big plays and had some pretty nice games, he is also on pace to take just an insane amount of stats. And yeah, the offensive line is at fault for some of that, but he also is just holding on to the ball so long and just, kind of stepping up into sacks. And it really hasn't been great. And still in this game, again, a 14-7 game, Washington ran the ball only 19 times for 76 yards, had a touchdown though, so 4 yards per carry. All right, that was probably the Giants' best performance against the run all year, and I think the biggest reason for it is because Washington, for whatever reason, gave up on it. They were, keen on throwing the ball with Sam Howell a lot in that game, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But before their last 2 times out, and even against, Buffalo, 4.4 yards per carry and 128 yards isn't, a stellar performance by any stretch of the imagination. But this defense, not that long ago, against Miami, now granted, Miami offense is tremendous, but 23 carries for 222 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's a 9.7 yards per carry. Okay. And also, by the way, I think Breece Hall is a better running back than anyone that Buffalo or Washington has to offer. Seattle, they had a mega day on the ground. 23 for 121 and a touchdown, 5.3 yards per carry. San Francisco, we know that they love to run the football. 39 carries, 39 for San Francisco in this game. 141 yards, one touchdown, 4.4 yards per carry. Arizona, 29 for 151 and two touchdowns, 5.2 yards per carry. And then going all the way back to week 1, 30 times Dallas ran the ball. A low yards per attempt, right, on 122 rushing yards, 4.1 yards per attempt or yards per carry. But they got in the end zone 3 times. So to me, this tells me that the New York Jets, if they're game planning and if Nathaniel Hackett has half a brain, which I think he does, they're going to run the football. On the season, the Giants, if you include the 2 games they've played better and just the entire sample size before that, it's averaging out to 5 yards per carry, which is 29th in the NFL. 10 rushing touchdowns already on the season is 30th in the NFL, and 961 yards on the season is 27th in the NFL. So they are essentially a bottom 5 unit against the run. The last time out, the New York Jets went up against a team that is stellar against the run, the Philadelphia Eagles, and I was begging, and a lot of people were asking Nathaniel Hackett to throw the ball a little bit more with Zach Wilson. And you know what? It wasn't the best Breece Hall game on the ground. He had 12 carries. He ended up getting in the end zone, but his yards per carry was pretty low, which makes sense because they were going up against a really, really stout unit. But the week prior, they were going up against a horrific unit, and guess what? Breece Hall went off. And I think the same thing is going to happen again this week. So for Breece Hall, we just gave you all the numbers on the New York Giants defense against the run. Hall's 6.5 yards per attempt or yards per carry leads the NFL this season. So he is, and obviously, as we know, a very explosive back. 66 carries for 426 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think at an absolute minimum, he is getting 18 carries in this game. We might see a 20 carry day for Breece Hall. Something we saw in Denver, and guess what? It worked. And that might mean that, Zach Wilson's throwing the ball under 30 times. I think in my predictions, I had him at around 28 passing attempts, and I think that's right where you want to be. You want to have Breece Hall running probably, I would say him 18 to 22 times, and then everyone else you're probably going to want, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 from Zach Wilson, and then a few more from Michael Carter and Dalvin Cook. So if you're 30 plus, 30 to 35, I think that's probably the number you want to hit against this Giants defense. So I really think that this is an opportunity for Breece Hall to get a heavy workload, which is, something that has happened for him the last few weeks, but I would really lean on him. And, especially when you're going up against a defense that is 3rd in the NFL in blitzing, and your quarterback is Zach Wilson, who, yes, we outlined earlier in the week that he has performed better against the blitz this year. This, to me, screams a game where you just want to hog the ball with Breece Hall. But I want to hear from you. What do you think of this game plan? What do you think Breece Hall does against the New York Giants? Sound off in the comments below. Get after me on social media. Subscribe if you're new. Don't forget, give a like, and I'll catch you next time.